T1 up against DRX here. And what will be taken away? No patch changes. We've got a fair bit of practice time on 14.12 so far.
Yeah.
We're going to be taken away from Yehu.
T1 opening with a bit more for targeted ban here. The Sejuani as well, not something we normally see ban first rotation. So they're kind of leaving the power picks open, and they're specifically just trying to punish DRX. And the thing is, DRX, they're banning the Clifton Ash, makes complete sense against T1. I wonder if the Rumble might be the third ban, or maybe the Senna.
Tristana, please ban Tristana. Just ban Tristana, ban Tristana.
I don't think they have enough bans. I think Tristana's a great ban, but you know, there's so many picks still open and available that is such a problem to deal with. T1 actually themselves ban the Rumble, so maybe frees up some space. I think the Senna, the Tristana, still things that I have in mind. Even the Talia, we've seen a bit more in the early bans.
I think Senna is still, yeah, it's still probably Senna, isn't it? Because then you're empowering Keria so much, and the Corki, the Tristana, we've seen Corki handshook quite a lot more, and actually down in Challenger the other day, I was seeing that Corki can pretty comfortably sometimes actually win the matchup into a Tristana, even though we just haven't seen that really here in the LCK. The Senna will be lapped up though, as the Twisted Fate is the final ban from DRX. So Skarner to come out, maybe. I mean, okay, Skarner Zyra.
That's certainly an option.
That's certainly not Tristana, is what I'm saying.
Even though it's not a lane counter, team fighting as a Nautilus, which is the favored pairing with the Senna, into a Zyra is painful. It's so hard with all the plants in the way. The problem is, though, by doing this, you've allowed T1 to pick up not only the Senna, but also the Tristana we were talking about.
Senna, Tristana, Nautilus, dude.
Yeah, it's a pretty good rotation.
Yeah, I'd say that, if I was Tom, I'd just walk off the stage. I'm like, well, I'm not needed. I don't need to be here anymore. We've just got the picks. Take the tier list and go pick the ones that are at the top.
I could see them maybe hesitating on the Nautilus, just the fact it's in a Zyra, and also they don't know the support pick. So maybe they go in a direction like top here or jungle, you know, securing something for Zeus. Looks like they're fine with it though. They're just going to secure that Nautilus. It's such a strong parent. Not as strong. I think the AD carry itemization changes definitely weakened it a little bit. Still very strong, but not quite as broken as it was in spring. And DRX looking towards AD mid laners, just because they do have that Zyra. Most people would think the Corki in this situation.
Could you imagine if he just says like, nah man, I'm playing Yasuo, and just locks it in? Like, I would be so confused, but so happy. Platter and Yehu actually having a lot of giggles with one another as well, as the Leona was locked in there. Still need an AD carry, still need a mid laner, unless we're going to be flexing Zyra into mid. But I don't think anyone does that anymore.
And I think DRX probably going to be looking to ban junglers out here. Actually going for the Xante. I'd have thought the assumption is going to get an AP jungler from Owner, so perhaps going to target those. Corki, no surprise to be banned by T1, targeting those AD mid laners that we expect Yehu to pick up.
Yeah, the Xante feels like a little bit of a no-brainer just because it's been the most successful pick into the Skarner so far, alongside the Twisted Fate.
It is that trade pick, so I think it makes sense.
Yep. And I think DRX kind of knew what T1 were going to do. Like, you're handing them some of the strongest champions in the game. So if you don't expect them to pick them up, then obviously something's going wrong. So they knew that this was happening. So this might be something that they've practiced. This might be the answer that they've had. We've seen when Canyon's piloting the Zyra, it looks extraordinarily powerful, but we have seen an example of when Zyra just doesn't work, as there is Ezreal alongside the Leona. Teddy's Ezreal has been legendary, although he wasn't playing it in the 94-minute game. In fact, Bang was playing that against him on his Sivir, as that's a Nidalee.
Do they just Nidalee Renekton it?
I mean, Nidalee Renekton would be the only way that I think I'd be all right with the Nidalee, and even then I wouldn't be all right with the Nidalee, you know?
Yeah, as you know, we gave Canyon the pass. Ona did get OBGG Play of the Week.
He did.
Does that allow him to play Nidalee? We'll have to see.
He is also...
We'll have to find out.
So generally, Owner is allowed like 1 or 2 games of Nidalee per year. I'm pretty sure that's how it is.
Quota.
I think it's like is contractually allowed to play a few of them. We have seen this from him many, many times. We know that he loves to play the pick. Haven't necessarily seen all of the success, though, as that is an Azir. Doesn't exactly spark all of the joy for me, personally.
Yeah, we've seen Azir do pretty well in the Trist, all things considered. You know, typically that was a counter matchup back in the past, but we've seen it recently doing pretty okay. It does mean they are very AP heavy on the side of DRX. It's so fantastic for those spears.
I would agree. I think that T1, if you look down the line, this is a terrifying draft. This is a whole lot of power. We've got the zoom in on the Nidalee, though, definitely where the majority of the question marks will lie. Here on the side of DRX, magic damage abound, but they also have a lot of consistent damage in general. I think Baron would just melt if they looked at it. And the Skarner's getting the zoom in because that has been pretty powerful in the past. Fun drafts on both sides. Let's jump into the rip for game number 1. All right, here we are. Headhunter Nidalee as well. It's been a long time. That was one of my favorites for a really long time because I didn't get Bewitching Nidalee when it first came out.
Yeah, I had that skin. You know when AD Nidalee top used to be a thing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had a period where I was playing that a lot, and with that skin, getting some spear value there.
A little bit. And
he threw 2 though, and only hit that 1, so it's a 50% so far.
We go with 50. Got some backs coming on in here as the spear is going to
33.
Yeah,
dropping quickly.
It is. It is. Hopefully it just holds on to the cooldown so we don't lose that one. If Gatoran is in chat, if you could just tweet at me the accuracy percentages of the Nidalee like you have in the past, that would be absolutely fantastic. And Sponge, let's see whether he has a better time navigating the Zyra than we have seen other times, because we've seen some, accidental starting of Raptors by activating a plant in the wrong spot and stuff like that can really wreck your clear. So hopefully Sponge is clean with it. As Faker making sure that Yahoo is just not allowed up to the wave, and he's going to have to start drinking his potion pretty early on here.
We've seen, I feel like in the last week when we've seen a bit more of the Azir into Tristana, it's a very trade-heavy matchup.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was Karis who was playing it, and it just like every time we looked mid, he was like no mana and like 20% health. Oh.
Well, Gumiushi's been lit on fire already. Pleta walking up to him.
I love this. This was such a popular strategy in the LPL where Leonas would just go E level 1 and just E on the squishiest person.
Yep.
And just auto them, and just that's enough, And getting the cleanse already, pretty powerful for DRX, and potentially the ability to set up in the bot lane. We can see Zyra, Sponge, pathing towards the bot lane. When Canyon played the Zyra, he used his speedy clear to impact lanes when he had the extra time.
Yeah, it was into a pushing bottom lane on the opposition. KT were playing very far up, and I don't think T1's going to have quite that luxury, but it might work in their favor.
Threaten a dive, honestly. Senna's so
could be an idea.
Maybe Pleta like flash stun into follow-up. We'll see. Owner is, of course, on this side of the map as well, so might be a little bit of danger if you have to follow with that. And you're talking about Owner's quota on Nidalee. 10 games definitely feels like he's very specifically had to stick to that quota.
Yeah, he hasn't gone over it very far. Maybe it's like 2.5 games, something like that. But still, been doing a fair bit of winning on the champion. As Keria taking a lot here. As Sponge making his way down. Dredgeline gets Keria out of there. As Teddy with a 60% win rate on this Ezreal, as Yahoo is taking so much damage. We're kind of used to this, as you were talking about. Thankfully, we were set up for just how brutal this lane can be.
I just imagine like the Azir like bleeding, struggling, like, no, this is how the lane's supposed to go. Don't worry about it. I'm fine.
Don't waste a band-aid. Yeah, but it's looking like he does need one. Still getting back to about 300 health. Sponge here to try and defend. Will be walking in. Faker has already rocket jumped. And now Sponge going to try and find some damage here. Not even going to get the Comet, because of course that plant doesn't slow. And DRX just going to allow Faker to live. And they will grab a reset onto Yahoo. We'll see what he's going to be able to pick up when he does go back home. Tensi has the advantage here for Faker, though, on the coveted Tristana pick. I can feel Wolf's frustration. The fact that Tristana exists in this game. Turret shot going to land on the Pleta. That is not great news, but Gumiushi, the one suffering the most here. Teddy thrown down quite a few autos and mystic shots, but it is going to be a decent trade in the end for either team. Frog just trying to deal with the Gnar as best as possible. And this is like, there are Gnars and then there's Zeus' Gnar. And Zeus' Gnar is probably the most difficult to deal with here in the LCK.
Yep, I think that's a fair statement to make. But he's doing all right so far. Oh, look, they both teleported back on full HP. You know what that means?
Quickly start trading. Thankfully, Shifting Sands is available this time around, so Yehu's able to mitigate a little bit of the explosive charge damage. There you go. That's something.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for.
Well, Sponge moving on over. That is going to be Faker taking a fair bit of damage there as well, aided by the plant at the same time. Actually, doing a lot of scouting with his plants, something that Zyra can definitely do. Haven't seen as much of that as Sponge.
Oh, the patented Zyra stealing the Raptors.
This is not what Nidalee likes either, because Nidalee, like, she also clears like a maniac, and so not having the camps to get to is pretty sad. Bottom side of the map now going to be cleared out here by Sponge. Going to start moving into a bit of an advantage here in the jungle. First Dragon, not really looked at just yet, as the grub's going to be up in about 25 seconds. Will be important. Like, if T1 gets too many grubs, DRX are going to be hard-pressed to stop Faker from just eliminating every structure on the map.
Yeah, we see their pings coming out. They assume they see the Raptors are gone, and we actually saw Ona pinging the brush, knowing that if they came and took the Raptors, there'll be a ward there. So we see Guma sweep that one out. And we can see on the other side, you know, Teddy's very confident.
Oh, Empress Divide going to be thrown down. Faker rocket jumping, trying to get away. As Sponge is moving in. Oh, this is so dangerous. The flash has to be employed. And Ona not able to get too much, but does manage to nail that minion.
Yeah, really nice play from Yehu there on the Azir, doing well in this matchup. And, you know, Faker makes the correct decision. He rocket jumps towards the top side, away from DRX. And Ona?
Yeah, still just fighting Sponge here, but doesn't have a mid laner to support. And Ona just trying to get aggressive. He does have a Mega Gnar making his way down. Still takes a fair bit of damage there. It's enough with the threat of the prehistoric Yordle to get DRX out of here.
But I think
DRX lock it down some shellfish.
They should have confidence here. Faker's still low. The Mega Gnar is now gone. Pleta is here. And you can see Sponge is challenging. We do see the Scuttle Crab going over to Ona, but not willing to let the grubs go.
Yeah, level 6 has been hit here by Ona, though, as there's the Zenith Blade. Pleta actually going in. Grasping Roots comes down as Ona is the focus, but Faker's already dived in. That's the first blood, and it goes to Tristana. Gets the reset there as well, as Frog's rotated down. It is a disaster for DRX, although they only lose one. They should also lose the grubs off the back end.
And the big thing is Ona is level 6. Obviously not a huge boost to the Nidalee, but if Zyra had her level 6, that would be an entirely different situation. Isn't able to use that ultimate for the self-heal, and because Pleta went in aggressively, weren't able to do anything to help Sponge. Yehu doesn't have his ult as well, so once the cooldowns are unavailable, we just saw Sponge go down and Guma gonna pick up. Oh, he actually missed one.
Oh, missed one. Savage.
I think he got enough.
It's okay. 3 grubs going over to T1. Absolutely fantastic here as Faker trying to get this wave pushed in once again. Let's check it out one more time.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is they use all their CC on Ona, which is just a signal to Faker that you can go in for free.
Yeah, and they'd already used the Empress Divide to try and kill Faker there before. They got his flash, yes, but then Yehu didn't have that to try and fight back.
And the thing is, with it being a Tristana, you don't really have to concern, like, once you get the kill, you're getting out again. You got the rocket jump reset. Means you don't have to trade your life when going aggressive like this. So solid play from T1 will pay off and give them the triple grub. We'll see if DRX try and get this dragon on the other side of the map. Obviously T1 are now moving down towards that, but it is a Chemtech dragon first, so likely to be a at least half decent soul.
Yeah. And no matter what it is, it's going to be beneficial, I think, on either side. I'm looking at the mountain value very high for Leona and Skarner, as well as, of course, Keria on his Nautilus and Zeus' Mega Gnar. There's a lot of things that could be very powerful. Of course, Cloud, obviously the best option. We'll see what they do manage to pick up as Gumisha Keria just holding onto the wave. Keria will be able to lock all these down very comfortably as Frog has been taking a beating, but otherwise he's doing fine.
Hasn't plate yet, so, you know, and he's...
As you say it, but yeah.
Well, 1 plate, and a little bit down in farm, but mostly holding up okay.
All right.
Sponge looking for something. He's not actually on vision, but now he is in vision.
Yeah.
Well, the plant will not even hit them. It hit the minion, and then it died, so...
Suboptimal, somewhat, but they do spot that there is a control ward in that brush, so at least maybe they'll be able to go over and clear that one out. Teddy has been farming pretty efficiently. Wants to be able to get to that 2-item spike as much as possible, or as quickly as possible. Neuromana and the Trinity Force should be coming in. As Faker and Yahoo still just hitting one another with abilities over and over again. That explosive charge going to do a lot of damage, and Yahoo not able to answer back too much. Does have the Emperor's Divide back up again. No flash just yet for either mid lane though, so could be a target perhaps. You can see that Fleta is already moving over there. And Carrier dealing with that bottom wave, but Gumiushi free to roam, and so he'll use that, go for a bit of a reset, see what else that T1 can find. But so far they have been set up in this early game to do exactly what they want to do this game, and that is, honestly, they can play very patiently. They can allow Owner to try and use his advantage in the jungle to stop Sponge from running over the map and things like that, but they can also just wait until Faker gets enough range, enough items, and Gumiushi gets enough stacks for them to be this brick wall that DRX will not be able to get through.
You can see Owner looking at challenge on the Raptors there. He's really started to take over in this matchup and pull a bit of a lead now.
Oh yeah, this is really dangerous. Grasping Root's going to get double value, but I don't know whether it even matters. Stranglethorns comes in, the knockup comes down. Dawning Shadow and Faker gets in there. Now Yahoo just trying to get himself out. The Emperor's Divide did absolutely nothing. Splatter trying to take matters into his own hands, but T1 just going to grab another one for their mid laner.
Yeah, super nice flash there from Owner and DRX. They saw blood. They thought they could punish the Nidalee. Ended up overlapping a little bit there. Yahoo's ult doesn't connect, and it leaves Sponge once again vulnerable. 0-2-0 now on the Zyra. Down a couple of camps. Not an ideal spot, not where you want to be.
Absolutely not. Rocks being thrown around by everyone here on this top side of the map, but we are going to get away from that now. Yahoo and Fleta with Gumiushi and Faker here in this mid lane. Bit of a duo lane scenario as we've crested the 10-minute mark. And DRX, I mean, when is the good news going to start? You know, when are they going to be able to find a play that actually works? I feel like their composition at this stage does have a fair few tools to fight. They just haven't been able to make them work out together.
Yeah, I think at least the thing you can have confidence in is that Teddy's farming really well. So when he's starting to join these plays, like usual, you can maybe look to him. I think the problem is here, the ult is going to knock Owner up. And Yahoo reads it and goes for the shuffle before seeing the knockup register. I feel like part of the problem was Sponge was so low, he felt like he couldn't hesitate, but it's just a really nice play from T1 there.
Yeah.
And they're continuing to apply the pressure. They're now going to look to get 6 Void Grubs. And
6 Grubs is, that's going to be very difficult to deal with, especially with Zeus sitting in a side lane so much. Faker as well, his split push is so dangerous.
Yep, such a big threat. And it definitely feels like DRX. There's a significant goal lead built up now. It's 12 minutes, 2,500, but now they're looking for Carrier to answer back.
Yep, potential dive here as there is the flash attempt onto Sponge, but they haven't picked up the turret aggro just yet, and he's used everything. Frog able to avoid as now Carrier should be going down here. Mystic shots, it's going to be able to be Teddy picking up the kill. And Frog seems to be okay for the moment, although he's not out of the woods just yet. Oh god, this must be so scary for the little Skarner, or the lawnmower, or the terrifying large Skarner. Whatever it is, he is in a whole host of trouble. Gumiushi does not want to be tanking this one as the Impale goes wide, and that means they can pounce on in and grab the kill. Owner very close to going down there, but the juggling is pretty good.
Not much more you can do, honestly, in that situation. No TP from Yahoo to come and save. Try to hold on to his cooldowns as long as possible. And unfortunately you can't. It's trader kills on both sides of the map. A lot of plays going over to either side as well. Teddy now very fed, but you see the gold spread about a bit. 41. Zeus got a pretty significant advantage here. And Carrier, I think, saw that auto coming for him and thought Sponge took aggro, but he actually autoed the turret. So really smart from Sponge to bait that out. Zeus now in trouble.
And after flashes, yeah, walls don't really mean too much here for Frog, and finally the Stranglethorns get some value. DRX on the board. It's not quite going to be enough to really change the tone of this game as they're still behind about 3,000 gold, but a win's a win.
Yeah, still a huge deficit in terms of gold, but DRX are at least making something happen and haven't just lost their way in this game. Scary thing as well is that Tristana with 2 kills in the bag. Faker, we've seen Tristana be such a problem in the late stage of the game. I know like the increased range she gets obviously meant she was always a bit of a scaling pick, but with the 80 carry item changes, she's been even more of a menace recently. And Zeus just overstays, thinks he can take the tower down before Frog turns up, and ends up miscalculating, and that ends up losing his life as a result.
Yep, still is able to get the turret though, so I guess that is a large reason as to why T1 still has this advantage in the gold that is quite meaningful.
That is a lot of plate gold.
Yeah, these structures really have been taking a beating, and T1 putting those grubs to work. This bottom outer, though, has taken a fair bit at the same time, so we'll see whether DRX can augment their coffers a little bit with that one. Teddy just trying to push Carrier away, and Carrier not really even noticing that Teddy exists here in this lane because he's so incredibly tanky.
Yeah.
Rift Herald just taken for free, though, and it looks like Ono just owns this Baron pit completely, no pun intended. Be able to throw this one down. And T1 going to return the favor when it comes to this mid-siege.
You can see actually Faker waiting off at a bit of a flank, so turret will actually get defended here. It's not going to go down, but it is very low. And again, this is a 6 grub team from T1, so I'm pretty sure like 1 auto with the true damage bin would probably be enough to take that down.
Yeah, not a lot of time required to grab that one. And Zeus, he's getting to work on this bottom side. Faker then moves into the top lane, try and put pressure on the inner turret. And this is the thing, DRX are going to get stretched way too thin with the fact that T1's ability to move around the map and just always have that looming threat on these turrets. So incredibly scary. Carrier, he's the one now with that spare time. Gumiushi going to turn up alongside him, and that should be the outer turret in mid lane just going down. Not a whole lot that DRX could do about it.
And you know, I'm going to be honest, if they'd stayed there to try and defend it, it would have just weakened their side lanes, you know? Like, who potentially need protection to cover that bot tower, so... And also resets needing to come in, I believe, for Teddy there. So I think it's just the right call to let it go. That low HP tower isn't really helping you anyway. But now it means T1, with that mid tier 1 down, can really start to push deep and establish vision control in the dragon area. It's a Mountain Dragon second.
Ooh, is it like Hextech, Infernal, Cloud? Could be Ocean, I guess, which would be a little bit sad.
Those are the Dragon Souls it could be. Thanks for listing every single one.
Yep, you're welcome, you're welcome. But there's a lot of them that are pretty good, is what I was really, really trying to get to there. Well, I promise I wasn't wasting your time, Orcs. I would never do that.
Hey, we're casters. That's what we're supposed to do.
Unless it's lore, in which case that can't be. As good buffer there from Faker, but he can't buffer the next one. There's the Flash Emperor's Divide. That's the kitchen sink, ladies and gentlemen, being used to take down the GOAT. And T1 should be able to use this to grab a little bit of extra control in mid lane, despite the fact that they will probably lose out on this dragon.
Yep, DRX hopefully should just be able to clear this out. We can see Teddy moving then. He was the one who got the kill on the Faker, so big payoff. T1 just moved that pressure up towards the top lane though.
Yeah, this is not going to last very long. Teleport is going to be used here. That's going to bring Yahoo over, unless it was just interrupted by Carrier, in which case he's not going to be there to join. Frog does find himself the Impale, as Dawning Shadow is going to be what locks down the kill onto the Skarner in the end. Teddy trying to get some autos down, as my goodness, Sponge, he's not even able to take the dragon without costing it him his life. As now, yeah, he will go down. Faker takes a lot of damage though, and those plants need to be respected. Carrier now doesn't have a lot of damage, and so Yahoo, they're just fighting over the honey fruit. Oh, this is a battle for the ages. Carrier, I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win. The Nautilus is just too strong as he takes down the pigeon, and look at that guy. Just saunters his way back to the bottom lane.
Such a close fight there, and a lot of rapid fire decisions from T1 for that passage of play. And it started with a positive play from DRX. Planet gets the stun on Faker, follows up with the ult. Beautifully played from him to catch out T1's most fed member. And it's crazy, this positive play for DRX finished like this. The TP interrupted by Carry on the bot side. And then Ona able to evade this situation, and it costs Frog his life. And we see in the ensuing play, T1 actually take the inhibitor tower as well on the back of this.
Yeah, it was just, you know, Pletty going in, not really going to be able to do too much there. Teddy, without a front line, can't really do anything.
Oh, this was so brutal though. The double TP, they know he's on the dragon. He still gets it though, and the plans do a lot of damage to Faker on the back end. But it's
the Stranglethorn's plants are very, very scary, and there were 3 of them there, so...
Yeah.
But this is so sad. No,
the fleet footwork came in towards the end, and I was like, maybe that was enough to swing it.
Mono?
What was that, Carrier? Is what Ona was asking.
Just Carrier things, just Carrier with gold. You know, do we expect anything else? Nope. I feel like maybe a year or 2 ago, this might have surprised us, but this is just Carrier.
It is. And T1 are now cruising down these lanes with a whole lot of money. Zeus dealing with Teddy here as best he can. Teddy's still very, very strong, but the issue is that the leads are stacking up slowly but surely here for T1. And we've seen them in these game states so many times before. We know that they're like a well-oiled machine when it comes to just making sure they can take more, even if DRX is going to make a play. Because Yahoo, he wants another round, and Carrier says, no, I've already won this one. I am not required to fight once again.
And now Carrier's just proxy farming the wave behind the Azir tower.
Yep, trying to bait him into maybe getting him to leave so that then Zeus can come up and kill him. His Dawning Shadow will interrupt the back.
What'd you do?
Oh, no. Well, you get a teleport from your Skarner.
I love how they're defending this tower so heavily when it's an Azir tower.
Wait, who's defending who? Like, Solar Flare going to connect here onto Carriers. Over the wall goes Frog, finds the Ram. There is the Impale, and they take down the Nautilus. They need a lot to do it. That still could get them some respite, and the Baron has just spawned. T1 still with a gigantic lead, but making the best of a bad situation is what that kind of felt like.
That's the moment when Carrier says in old chat, you need 5 to kill me.
Yeah, exactly.
Come to the Baron pit, Yahoo will 1v1 again.
Well, we'll see whether he does decide that they're going to enter practice school after this game and have a Mundo off in the Baron pit. I really hope that that does happen. Soul Flare, though, connecting from Pleta, even though he doesn't manage to land the Zenith Blade, it is definitely enough to just pick him up with the Impale. T1 not with enough members in the area, but also not enough in order to threaten a Baron at this stage of the game. It's still very, very early on, and that thing does a fair bit of damage. 5,000 gold to lead as the dust is settling, and Faker is going to push another wave in towards this Skarner.
Yeah, that's the main thing. It's just the goal difference is very big at the moment between these two teams. 2 dragon lead for DRX means that, you know, they can stall the game out. There's no pressure. They can give up these dragons and find time just to build up some gold. Because obviously at 21 minutes, a 5k gold lead is massive. 31 minutes, not as significant. So hopefully they approach it with that mindset. The main thing is not letting the Baron go over to the other side.
Also, like, the other thing as well is when you've got an opponent with so much control of side lanes and things like that, the problem is it's not going to be a static 5,000 gold lead if you let T1 do what they want to do, and that is continue to take down turrets in the side lanes, continue to stretch you too thin, and just take your stuff. So that may just keep happening.
But honestly,
okay, Frog making his way in, does manage to land the boulder, gets the Buster Shot out of the Scorpion.
Like, even with the gold deficit, DRX's team fighting is pretty good with their composition. Obviously, T1, masters of handling a team fight in general, but maybe there's an angle if we get into these 5v5s where they can find something. We'll have to see. But it is still that goal difference at the top of the board. So massive.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind if T1 just decided that they never want a team fight in this game. I don't think their composition is going to win by out team fighting. I feel like it wins by putting Zeus and Faker in side lanes and having Carrier protect the President and Gumayushi, and then they should be able to survive almost any sort of siege being put up by DRX.
You know what I feel like they're going to do?
What?
They're going to do this crazy thing. You might not believe they'll do this, but being that it's T1, I think they'll probably start the Baron.
That may happen. Trish Barrage was a decent attempt there from Teddy, but not quite fast enough. That will be the Cloud Drake secured. So T1 gets their first dragon.
Whenever I look and see Guma when he's near like an objective or a wave, I always just see so many souls on the floor. I feel like his soul RNG has been really crazy this game. I'm actually wondering how many he's on right now. 80.
80 is not bad.
That's pretty decent.
Yeah, that's a large amount of souls. So Guma doing a very, very good job. Seen some pretty good center play so far, and of course Guma has always been pretty good at it, even though there are some fans who do not like it when he's not on some of these more main character champions. His center is undeniably pretty fantastic, though. Hasn't lost that many games. Now, like you say, T1 are going to do that T1 thing where they start Baron. Ward goes over. DRX with full information as to what's going on here. And Frog, he can get into that pit very comfortably. Sponge, a lot of range available as well. And harassment in a tight space is something that Zyra is very good at. So I don't think T1 will be able to take this one if DRX knows what's going on. They might be able to take a team fight. You can see Zeus looping around, trying to get himself into a position to try and get something done. Doesn't have a great Narbal right now as Teddy. This is the kind of play we need to see out of him. Being aggressive, being in their face, and try to whittle down these health bars.
I feel like this is just how T1 play it, though. They see the teleport come in from Yahoo. That's enough. That's all they need. They get that, and they'll just keep working you down. Next time they start the Baron up, maybe they get Frog's TP. And then the time after that, maybe you don't have a teleport, and that's when they commit to the Baron plays. So they will just whittle down your resources in these situations. DRX doing a good job of responding, but every single one they will have to potentially pay for later on.
Yeah, I think they're just It feels like DRX are just getting consolation prizes over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's not really getting you too much of an advantage when their direct opposition is the one giving it to them. Carrier will take a bit of damage there. T1 back to doing what they want to be doing. Teleports available for both of these top laners here as the grasping roots is good. On to Faker. He's able to buffer. Just some Tristana things once again.
Oh, they've kind of forced DRX out towards the top side, though, so now Teddy's left alone to defend the tower. It's going to go so fast.
Yeah, he does have a True Shot Barrage, but it's not going to be able to save this turret, and that is just going to explode. Teddy able to Arcane Shift backwards. Now the rest of DRX trying to make their way over. This is a deep flank from Frog, who's trying to get in there. He's invested his teleport for it as well. If they get nothing for this, it could be an absolute catastrophe. Faker gets rammed into the wall, but it doesn't really seem to matter because the Impale doesn't land. There's the ulti onto Pleta, though. He goes in. DRX now have rebuilt the Phalanx as the spear is going to miss. But T1 have just said, we'll just keep you at arm's length. We'll just throw out what we can find without hard committing. Is never mind. Gumayusi has to cleanse, and there's Teddy. Grabs the Trinity Force proc and takes down the center. Faker now has to get out of there, and DRX, they now have a slight man advantage, but not really a lot to turn it into because the rest of their lanes are in dire straits.
So much posturing there, so much back and forth. Frog doesn't get the engage he wants, but that little execution on Aguma from Teddy and Pleta was really slick. They're heading towards the back. I mean, they have a Zyra, but this might be a bit dangerous.
Teddy also had teleport, which I didn't really take into account here, so they have that extra teleport available. They might have to sacrifice a lot if they want to be able to get this Baron as, Carrier booking it into the pit. Yeah, Ona's going to take a while to get over here. I think this Baron is going to go over to DRX. But what is going to happen elsewhere on the map? Faker actually deciding to teleport back in, and then Zeus teleports to the bottom lane.
The little exchange.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I think, you know, Faker, if he had been given another opportunity, would have probably opted to just stay there towards that bottom side. They had known how fast that Baron was going to be. So DRX, I mean, once again, it's a consolation Baron. It's not even like the, like we made the play and we got a Baron now, now we've got control of the game. No, it's only a 600 gold Rebel Baron power play because they still lose their inner turret. It is still 7 turrets to 2.
But I will say, it does help stall the game out, you know, which you're against a Tristana, you're against a Senna. Obviously, these champions do scale really well, but the Nidalee, not so much. And I think DRX are starting to feel more confident in their team fights. They deny the Baron, they can now use it to push down this mid-tier 1.
Well, let's see
what they can get from it.
See whether it does work out here. As Plants coming on out, trying to be frustrating. Pleta goes in, gets the rocket jump out of Faker. Should give Teddy some free time with this outer turret, and they will be able to at least take that. So, I told a lie. It was 7 turrets to 2 before. Now it's 7 turrets to 3. Getting our way back into this one. As DRX playing patiently. Definitely refusing to give up.
Well, you can actually see Zeus just went behind them and caught the waves, so they can't push anymore now. Now moving towards the bot lane, and they're going to get the dragon as well. So mid-tier 1 going down obviously is nice. DRX now going to take this tier 2.
Yeah, they should.
Hoping for their sake they don't lose anything more in the bot lane, but Skarner just throws boulders and clears the wave, so I think he's okay.
He is going to continue to do that. Faker was coming on over, so if Frog was in a precarious spot, would have been disaster, but wasn't. Yeah, who's going to finish his Leandries, as we can see. That is 3 items now completed, as Crypt Bloom was opted into first. Sponge, thankfully, also does have that Rylai's finally done. Blighted Crystal there as well at the same time. So some item spikes coming on in as we have a look. The gold graph taking a little bit of a hit towards the end there, but you can see that T1 still retaining that 5,000 gold lead. But you were saying like 21 minutes was the last time we saw that. That gold lead has shrunk.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the game is in a better spot now for DRX than it was at 21 minutes. Obviously, still a big deficit, but I think as well, you look at where the deficits are, top lane, there is a pretty significant deficit, but Skarner doesn't need that much gold to be relevant.
Oh.
But Zeus is causing issues right now for DRX.
Yeah, a little bit of a ruckus as DRX are just going to double down. They're going to grab this inner turret in the mid lane. Zeus will be able to pick up the inhibitor.
But he doesn't have a wave, so
yeah,
I guess they're just saying that's all he can do.
Well, Faker's going to try and push Frog away. True Shot Barrage hitting the wave mostly. Gumayusi, oh my goodness, Teddy looked at him and he takes so much damage here That is going to be this inner turret falling down as well. And DRX, when it comes to the demolition, which is what they wanted to get done here, they have done a great job moving up to 6 turrets, really evening things out as Teddy not going to be killed by a Dawning Shadow this time. And Yehu made his way back to base. Notices that they've taken down some of their inhibitions, but it is fine. We'll be able to just get control back in that wave and just be happy that they have, you know, solidified their gold a little bit more.
I think when you're playing against a team like T1 in particular, it's so hard to make these decisions, like to say, you know what, let the inhibitor go, he can't do more, we're going to get more value on this side of the map. I think that's where weaker teams often struggle a lot, making those sacrifices and making the correct choices. And I think DRX did a really good job there. The gold lead shrunk a bit more again, and they are really just bringing their hopes alive in this game. 2 dragons now to T1, so it's even there, but they had that space, they had that time from those early 2 dragons they picked up. And again, the game still isn't an ideal spot for them. They're still going to have to deal with Faker and Guma in the late game on these picks, but it feels like they're still in it, and I think that's the main thing for them.
Absolutely. And I think that we sort of asked for this at the beginning of the day, right? It was, we want to see DRX really put up a fight today. That's going to help us, you know, feel like they are those contenders that we were considering them as when we were thinking so highly of them. Then they lose that game to Nongshim, and we're like, oh wait, maybe there's shades of the old DRX. Maybe it's strength of schedule, these sorts of things. I think so far DRX have shown that they're not quite there yet. They're still looking a lot better, and they are still absolutely in this game, like you were talking about. Not over until it's over. They have a lot of team fighting power as Sponge. As this Zyra trying to get as much information as possible. Teddy steals away the Merc Wolf. Every bit of value is good value. Chaos, that's what we're looking out for.
Yeah, I feel like that's been the thing with T1 is they built up these farm leads on, you know, the likes of the Gnar and the Nidalee. And that's really where this gold lead's coming from. Nidalee now with the Rabadons, but I'm not feeling too confident about the Nidalee's impact at this point. The Gnar, though, is still very relevant. But Teddy, he's just been, you know, even from the laning phase, he had a bit of an advantage, but I feel like a lot of that gold has really been funneled onto him. He's been picking up those kills.
And he hasn't gone for like the Frozen Heart third that we've seen a lot of Ezreal's go for. The Spear of Sojourn is going to be done as his 4th item, but that's Mirror Mana, Trinity Force, and the Spear as well. Like, it's not with this extra defensive item, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a correct call, especially since, you know, he is the only AD threat on the team, and Ezreal still does like a decent amount of magic damage as well.
Yep.
With his ult, with his W, with his E. So I think really making sure you do the maximum damage possible is important. And he will tear through basically anyone but Kerry. And even Kerry, I think he's doing a fair bit of damage with that armor pen too.
I would agree.
Kerry is looking pretty tanky with his items in pocket. We can see T1 setting up for this Baron. Will pick up the Scuttle Crab. And Dragon up in about 30 seconds, so likely to get some sort of exchange here, whether it's a fight or a trade between these. But I know both teams definitely more focused on the Baron, and Teddy takes a huge spear there.
Yeah, the Rabadon's really looking a bit dangerous here.
You know, maybe I lied about the Nidalee impact.
Yeah.
Just hit a spear. It's that simple.
And honestly, that's what he's been trying to do. And it's not about the ones that miss. It's about that one that hits. Can really skew a fight in your favor. Teleport having to be invested off the back of a spear landing.
Oh, and now Dragon being started by Zeus. He can solo this. DRX sensed this. You know, they saw him take the blast cone. They're moving more aggressively now.
Yeah, Teddy once again taking a lot of damage as Faker down to 50%. Same can be said for Teddy, though. Really has to stand in this backline. There is the Drake secured by the Gnar, and Yehu moving towards that top side because this inhibitor is still not back up yet. 42 seconds on that one, so it's pretty close. This is really going to stretch DRX. Teleport available for Frog, but not for Yehu.
Teddy's
that means that, yeah, T1, they can just start this one up. And Pleta taking a lot of poke damage if he decides that he wants to come on over here. Teddy over the wall. They maybe think, oh, there he is, he goes in. Gumayushi has to flash. And Sponge still here threatening. Depth charge going to be used on the Zyra, and they just burst down the Baron. Zeus is also just kind of winning the game casually by himself here as well. And DRX, I think they were stuck between a whole lot of different, very difficult decisions, and Spear is going to connect. Pleta is executed. Sponge, he throws down the Stranglethorns, but then he has to flash out of there. And I think this is the beginning of the end for DRX. Yahoo, there are a lot of plates spinning right now, but there's also a lot that are just lying strewn on the ground. They weren't able to keep up with all of them as T1 were just throwing too many decisions their way. Zeus I don't know what that one was about, but he's got a GA, so he may as well dive underneath Nexus turrets, and he almost takes them all out as he does so. Onto the fountain goes Sponge, and he'll just have to watch as T1 finishes off the Nexus. DRX made him work for it, but didn't really feel close at many of the stages of this game.
And it felt like